This is Coffee with God, and I am Father Jose. Let us begin this day with the Word of God and a short reflection.
A reading from the Holy Gospel according to Luke, chapter 19, verses 41 to 44. The passage is taken from the Message version of the Bible. When the city came into view, he wept over it. If you had only recognized this day and everything that was good for you, but now it's too late. In the days ahead, your enemies are going to bring up their heavy artillery and surround you, pressing in from every side. They'll smash you and your babies on the pavement. Not one stone will be left intact. All this because you didn't recognize and welcome God's personal visit. The Gospel of the Lord.
Reflections on the Holy Gospel according to St. Luke, chapter 19, verses 41 to 44. The Evangelist Luke was writing the Gospel 10 or more years after the actual destruction of Jerusalem by the Roman armies in the year 70. He wants to communicate to his readers that the destruction was not a punishment from God, but resulted from their unwillingness to respond to the commandment of love. The Jews hated the Romans and attempted an armed revolt to drive the Romans out of Jerusalem. It provoked the Romans and they destroyed the city and the temple. Jesus wept over Jerusalem because God's chosen people did not recognize God's visitation in their history. Israel did not recognize nor accept Jesus. Instead, they regarded him as a heretic. Those who rejected Jesus believed they had good reasons to do so because Jesus disagreed with their understanding of the law of Moses. Explaining the gospel, Pope Francis suggested that Jesus weeps because he is living the experience of his own parable, in which when the boss sends his servants to ask for the produce from his vineyard, the stewards beat the servants and they kill the next. Eventually, the master sends his own son, and the wicked stewards kill him to appropriate the legacy. Jesus is the son of the master of the vineyard, whom the Father sends, but soon will be despised, rejected, and be killed. In John's Gospel we read, "He came to them and they did not accept him. And the light came and the people chose the darkness." Pope Francis explained, what causes pain in the heart of Jesus is this story of infidelity, this story of not recognizing God's embraces, the love of God. This is a drama of refusing to accept God's visit, which is repeated daily, says the Pope. We can ask ourselves, do I know how to recognize the time in which God visits me? How is my heart before the visit of Jesus? The Gospel today is a reminder that we can fall into the same sin as the people of Israel, into the same sin as Jerusalem, not knowing the time of God's visitation in our lives. The Word of God invites us to examine our conscience. Has the Lord visited me today? Did I feel any invitation, any inspiration to follow Him more closely, do a work of charity, and pray a little more? Jesus wept not only for Jerusalem but for all of us, and He gave His life in order that we might recognize His visitation. If we are not attentive to our heart, we will never know whether or not Jesus is visiting us.